Hello, everybody. I'm Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live. I am brought to you in part by WBFR Block 50 Radio, which is online 24/7, 365 at block50radio.com. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Take a device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan, iTunes, iHeart. Wherever you're listening, I am there. Guys, plenty to get to today. Obviously, usually Fridays are our MMA day, but the NFL draft did happen yesterday. So it's going to be mainly an NFL draft show. That's all there is to it. Caleb Williams goes number 1 in the NFL draft. In fact, over 20 offensive players were taken in the first round, 6 quarterbacks, and the first 12 picks alone sets an NFL record. And as always, joining us on Friday is our man, Austin Ford. Austin, how you living today, baby?
Living large and not in charge of too much, but I'm excited to be here.
I mean, you got a whole ass gym down in Texas, bro. What are you talking about? You're not in charge.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Man, what a draft, man. What a draft. So many things. I feel like if I'm optimistic, the future of the NFL is in good hands.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Look, first of all, your team, you know me, man. And first of all, your team, the Kansas City Chiefs, decided to go wide receiver. Me personally, given what happened during the offseason, I'm thinking to myself, you need a defensive backfield, my man. Look, I understand the need to consistently load Patrick Mahomes with weapons that are around him. But last year, you had one of the best pass defenses in all the NFL. It certainly helped you, obviously, in the playoffs against, talents like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. They have one of the mediocre run defense. I mean, at least try to improve on that. Something. I don't know, man. I mean, me personally, if I'm Kansas City, I wouldn't have gone wide receiver in the first round. I'm looking defensive backfield or middle linebacker.
Well, it's one guy, right? And then we've got the rest of the draft to pick these gems, these diamonds in the rough. But we got the fastest guy in the world. We've got the Tyreek, got the next Tyreek Hill. So I'm excited. We know how to develop players. We're going to draft accordingly. And, Beach, Andy Reid, they know what they're doing. 2 in a row. Let's go 3-peat, baby.
Well, okay, so look. First of all, as a Broncos fan, I hope Patrick Mahomes wakes up in the middle of the night, has to use the bathroom, and stubs his toe on the bed. That's legitimately all right. From a journalist perspective, he's unquestionably the best quarterback in the NFL. There's literally no denying it. It's just the way that it is. But my thing is, though, is again, as much as you want to say, well, he's the next Tyreek Hill, let's not forget Tyreek took a couple of years to get to where he was because he started out as a return specialist, right? He developed into a wide receiver. Look, do you think the Chiefs really have another 2 to 3 years? Travis Kelce, we don't know what's going to happen with him. Let's be honest. You've just given, Jones that contract, but okay, let's see how he plays now that he's actually got the money that he wants. Again, the defensive backfield, how much longer do you just say, okay, we're just going to keep putting everything on the back of number 15?
Everything gets better every year. That's the trend of the 2020. 2022 was a great year. 2023, 2024, right? Everything gets better. We can develop these players faster. Patrick Mahomes is smarter. And he hasn't even settled into his Tom Brady era where he has to get the ball out quick. We're not even there yet. And I promise this kid's going to take the top off of the defense. He's going to open up Travis Kelce. Do we need a defensive? We lost Steve. That's true. Which I think we should have paid that man.
Yeah.
But I really do. But, I'm excited for the future. In fact, can we take a year off to just develop? Can the Super Bowl champions just take a year off, develop our team? team. Let's draft again next year. I don't know. I'm very excited about the future. It's not about, it is about three-peat this year, but it's about 6 championships, getting to 6 total in the next 5 years. I think we can do it.
Well, I don't think number 15's into taking time off, man. Let's keep that a buck. Look, Andy Reid's not getting any younger. How much longer do you think he's going to be there in Kansas City?
I think if we won the Super Bowl next year, he's out. I think we got two years max. So it's unfortunate. That could throw the thing all out of whack. Who's the next guy to come in and pick up the Andy Reid torch? I wish Eric Bieniemy would have just stayed. I wish we could get him back. I think he can't be a head coach anywhere else but the Chiefs. So I am a little worried there. We need to keep all these pieces. We need Kelsey. We need Andy Reid. Mahomes can't do it by himself. I think 2 years, man. 2 years.
Well, I always like to reiterate to people that when Andy Reid showed up, they hadn't won a playoff game in over 20 years. They had $39 million in unused salary cap space, okay? So he just completely changed everything around. They were under poor GM management. I mean, it was a nightmare to be a Chiefs fan at that point in time. He drafts Patrick Mahomes, I think, against the better judgment of a lot of people. Looking back at it, how he fell that far, I think, is kind of beyond a lot of people. I think the injury, though, and him playing with a boot really set him back, if I'm being honest with you. But I think taking the year to develop was a huge thing. Speaking of which, obviously the Chicago Bears go number 1 with Caleb Williams, and they draft a wide receiver a little bit later on in the draft. You and I have talked about it before. If I'm Caleb Williams, I don't want to be in Chicago. But I think he's to a point where he feels like he has to prove something. Whatever that is, it's not going to happen. I mean, look, there's 2 factors. Number 1, I don't think Caleb Williams is tough enough to play in the NFL. And number 2, he's damn sure not tough enough to turn around that Chicago Bears football team, man. I mean, look, anytime they played an even decent team, they lost. And I always said that players eventually become reflective of who their coaches are. And to me, Lincoln Riley is softer than Cool Whip. So I don't think that Caleb Williams is going to be able to be in Chicago in the cold, playing against teams like Green Bay, Detroit, year in and year out, Minnesota, year in and year. It's not going to happen, bro. I'm telling you right now, if he lasts more than 2 years in the NFL as a starter, I'll just say I ate my words, because I don't see it. Everybody gives the rookie 1 year, and then they give him another year, and then it's kind of like, okay, bro, you got to figure it out. For all the blustering that everybody had on ESPN about Chicago screwed over Justin Fields, for whatever reason, they don't feel like Caleb Williams is in a bad situation. I would love to know the explanation behind that. So I think he's done in 2 years, my man. I really do. I don't think they drafted smartly. I think they needed to go running back, get somebody else with DeAndre Swift. I think they needed to go tight end. They could have got Brock Bowers. They need to have an already made team. And then to me, draft a QB, late 4th or 5th round or something like that. But that's me, though.
No, I'm with you on that. If Justin Fields can't get it done, Caleb Williams can't get it done.
Yeah.
And Justin Fields, he's soft too. We saw him in the QB1 show, and he's on the sidelines, and his dad's on the sideline.
Right.
And then he's having a bad game, and he goes over to his dad. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, man, all that talent, all that speed, all that opportunity, and this is a super soft guy. Now, Caleb Williams, I just don't see, they're comparing him throwing across his body, like to Mahomes. I don't get that vibe.
No.
Well, I get the Mahomes vibe from Penix Jr. That's who I get the Mahomes vibe. I think the best quarterback combo, the team, the city, left-handed, the next Michael Vick, not as dynamic of a runner, but I really think we're going to see Michael Penix Jr. develop into the next Patrick Mahomes. I love seeing the quarterbacks, McCarthy projected to go late in the first round, Penix Jr. late in the first round, and they got taken early. I love that. So I'm not impressed with the Caleb Williams. When I looked at his fingernails and he had the clear coat, I don't know what he was wearing. I don't know. I just all the talks of I want part of the team, generational talent. I just don't see it. I don't see the opportunity for him to take over that team. Now, I think you're right about the cold. You're right about the town, the Bears curse. He's got to play right away. I mean, the best quarterback in the NFL got to sit behind Alex Smith and develop. That's exciting to me. I like Penix Jr. sitting behind Kirk Cousins. Like, Kirk Cousins is a system guy. He's a do-everything right guy. And I think that's what Penix needs. He's a gunslinger, and he needs someone to develop him. And I think that's the best quarterback drafted. Not necessarily the best quarterback, but the best fit for the team. I'm just not sold on Caleb Williams just yet.
No, and for me, the thing about Caleb Williams is that the amount of pressure, he doesn't realize what's going on in Chicago right now. Those fans are desperate to win. And the minute that Caleb Williams starts playing bad football, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare. It's literally going to be the same publicity nightmare that it was with Justin Fields. And when it comes to Michael Penix Jr., look, they threw a curveball. And there's rumors already that, Kirk Cousins isn't happy about this and all that type of stuff. Look, he was drafted to make Kirk Cousins toe the line. Look, Brody, you're on thin ice. We paid you some money, but you're also on thin ice. We'll figure it out financially later if we have to. But right now, we need you to know, bro, that we're not playing around with you. And you're right. There's nothing wrong with what they did. And I keep telling people about the Bubby Brister, John Elway thing. The best thing that the Kansas City Chiefs ever did was sit Mahomes for 1 year. He learned how to be a pro. He learned how to be in a pro locker room. He learned that playbook. He learned that system. They were patient. They knew we've got a year at least. So I think with the Atlanta Falcons, you're right. It is a very good situation. Caleb Williams, comparing him to Patrick Mahomes is just tomfoolery. And part of that is his own damn fault because he went off and was like, well, if you look at my numbers, I'm one of the most really 66%. He's not even top 5 all-time accurate passers in college football. In fact, he's not top 10. He's not top 15. He's not top 20. He's not top 25. He's not top 30. He's barely top 40 at number 39. In fact, in terms of overall passer rating, sure, he's top 15, but Tim Tebow's ahead of him. So,
oh, my goodness.
So, right. So I don't know where the ego suddenly came from because he really wasn't talking like this before. But I think what happened is there were so many fake quotes about him that I think he got tired of it and just said, you know what, if everybody wants me to be a villain, fine, I'll play the role and I'll get my dollars up and I'll get my social media following and it's all just going to be a huge act. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. I don't think he's being really authentic, Now, for my money, and this is me, the teams that did the best in the draft in terms of quarterback, I will give you Atlanta, but and as much as I hate Sean Payton for what he did to Russell Wilson, it really is Bo Nix because really Frisco and New Orleans and Detroit really run basically all the exact same kind of offense that was in Oregon. It is screenplays, dink and dunks, a lot of look over here on the fake handoff, and what we're really doing is sneaking a guy under for a dink and dunk 2 yards on the screenplay. For what he's used to, I think Denver made the best choice. The problem is he still doesn't have an offensive line. They got Zach Wilson a couple of days ago in a trade. That's not going to do anything. So for my money, I think in terms of systematically, they did the right thing. But I've said before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it until people finally get to see it this year. And that is the best overall prospect coming out of college football was Jane Daniels. And I said that 2 years ago before he even won the Heisman. Look, Jane Daniels carried a very mediocre LSU football team. I don't know why people are so gung-ho on the wide receivers he had around him. They're about to find out how much he carried that team. That offensive line was 110% horrendous. And if you put anybody else back there, they're not a 9 or 10 win football team. They're not. They are 6-6 at best. Brian Kelly is not a good football coach. I don't know why people keep paying him. It's funny, but let me ask you something. As a head coach, how many championships has Brian Kelly won? Go ahead, I'll wait. Right. So
you're right.
Yeah, so how this guy keeps getting 100. I mean, everywhere he goes, man, he is literally the Doc Rivers of college football. I mean, somehow he just keeps getting more and more money, even though he's doing less and less and less everywhere he goes. So
he must be the coaching hierarchy must be similar to Hollywood.
Man, I'm telling you. Well, he must have an award-winning personality. I mean, I don't get it. I think
and he does. He gets these guys to play for him, but you can't just be a player's coach all the time.
Well, have you seen him on the sideline, man? I mean, he loses his mind about 5-6 times a game. And the things he said about his players, like I'm pro execution and our players deserve to be executed when he was at Notre Dame. He's a Looney Tune, bro. I can't get behind Coach Kelly. The way he ducked out of Cincinnati, he left his team in November when he was at Notre Dame. For my money, how anybody would trust their kid to be under, and he's the world's biggest hypocrite. He doesn't want the transfer portal to be the way that it is. He doesn't want the NIL deals to be the way that they are. But yet here this guy is constantly leaving for the next big thing. So
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Let's call it spade a spade. The coaches transfer portal has always been there. And as soon as they throw the next big opportunity in front of them, they're willing to leave behind 100+ kids that counted on. And then you can imagine the promises he made.
Yeah.
And then just to move on for money, this is the world we live in. The next big thing. And it's sad.
Yeah, no, I would never let my son go play for Brian Kelly. I mean, seriously. Me personally, I think the worst decision was the drafting of Drake May. I can't believe he went number 3. Man, I'm telling I've seen him play, man. He literally reminds me of Trevor Siemian, and that's not a good thing. So the way he just throws the football up, I mean, I've seen this guy literally, him and Trevor Siemian both have this thing where for some reason, if I'm getting tackled and I can't see anything, I'm going to guess where my guy's supposed to be and just chuck it. Well, that doesn't work in the NFL, Brody.
No, he's this brings me back to the Bo Nix. These guys being thrown in to playing right away, you can just tell they're not ready. Bo Nix was ready 2 years ago, and I just don't see him being ready. Just like Caleb Williams, he has to go in right away and win. The pressure on that kid is tremendous. Now, Drake May, New England They expect him to be Tom Brady next year.
Right.
Big expectations right away. And I'm just going to keep it real. I think New England was glad they drafted a white quarterback. I think they care about that. You know, the face of the program, the face of the Patriots. It wasn't going to be Jaden Daniels. It wasn't going to be Caleb Williams. Drake May is a perfect, and I think he will eventually be a similar flop to a Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones got lucky in his senior year with the system, with the pieces around him. You know, they just pump out draft picks, Alabama, and he went number 3, but I think that's Mr. Irrelevant. Yes.
Well, he's going to be irrelevant in about 3 years. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, it's seriously, man. And, you know, here's the thing. I mean, come on. Now, I know it wasn't until a few games into the season, but he still had Tez Walker at North Carolina, had a couple of really good tight ends there. You got Mac Brown as your football coach. You got really good balance with the run game. For my money, my thing is about Drake May is a lot of other quarterbacks. You put Jaden Daniels on that football team, they're competing for a national championship. They are being talked about being in the college football playoff. I really I know that people, well, these are hyperboles. Look, you have to understand that there are some teams out there that regardless of who you put under center, they are going to be good. Oregon was one of those teams because Bo Nix didn't do anything when he was in Auburn. You know, and all these people, how come he wasn't playing like this at Auburn? Because the SEC was too tough for him. That's why. And literally, you could have put anybody. I mean, if you put Michael Penix Jr. at Oregon, it's a different story. You put Jane Daniels at Oregon, it's a different story. You put Drake May in the situation with Oregon, they might actually be a little bit worse than what they were with Bo Nix. And I'm keeping it a buck here. You know, but I think that there were some teams, though, that were smart. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., he goes to Arizona, right? So I think that was a smart move. I love what the Chargers did. They went O-line. You got to protect Justin Herbert. If you're going to keep him around, then obviously you've got to get somebody to keep the guy healthy, right? And especially the way that, you know, defensive line play is changing overall in the NFL. So I think those were really smart moves. And I get tired of always looking for that sexy pick. It doesn't have to be that, man. It has to be, you know, Will Levis, Tennessee. They took an offensive lineman. It's a damn good pick. He was getting beat up last year, man. I was saying that from the get-go. It doesn't matter who you put back there in Tennessee. They're getting beat up. That's just the way that it is. So, I mean, what was it, a couple of years ago in the playoffs when Joe Burrow and the Bengals played against them, both quarterbacks had been sacked over 50 times. I mean, how much, you know, how much can you blame the quarterback for 50 sacks? You know, so I think they did really good. I think, to me, those were the picks that really set everything in motion, man. And look, I know everybody's going to talk about all the offense that was taken this year. I'm really surprised this much offense was taken. I watch college football, I mean, literally from all the beginning sports shows till the last game is over, usually at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm really surprised at all the offense that was taken. I really am, but it goes in waves. But I don't know. I think, again, some teams needed defense. Kansas City needed defense. Denver needed defense. It's really bizarre to me. I think we're too reliant on quarterbacks, man. I really do. 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks. That's just way too reliant on one person to come in and save your franchise in a year. You can't plan for a year with a rookie quarterback. You can't do it.
No, definitely not. That's why I like and Mahomes kind of set the tone for what can happen with a later first round pick quarterback. These like, it's almost as the first round pick is a curse.
Right.
You know, come save our program or come save our franchise. It's just not going to happen with with a kid, and yes, Mahomes is generational talent, but you remember how they scouted him. He's a gunslinger. His mechanics need work. It's not the cookie cutter quarterback anymore. It's the athlete. And I'm not sold on I like Jaden Daniels as the best quarterback in the draft, but I really like the Penix Jr. Like the injury, he sent a letter to the league. I'll take all the MRIs and X-rays you need, but an EKG is all you need to know about me. I really like that kid. I really do. And even the JJ McCarthy, I think he's ready right now. So, spending your early pick on a quarterback, it's almost like the NFL's transfer portal. Justin Fields, he entered the portal. What are we going to see him do? So let's pick up a quarterback out of a current NFL quarterback. Let's change our franchise with a current NFL quarterback, not a kid that's coming out of college. The speed is different. Everyone's a dog in the NFL. Everyone's not a dog in college. And the adversity that McCarthy went through, the adversity that Bo Nix went through, the adversity that Michael Penix went through, that's the guys that I bet the future of my franchise on after they sit for a couple of years. I think Caleb Williams was the best he's ever been at Oklahoma. When he was hungry, when he had to beat out Spencer Rattler, that's the best Caleb Williams. This Caleb Williams is the Hollywood. It's going to be interesting.
Well, I love Michael Penix Jr. too. And the thing is, I said when he was at Indiana, during the COVID year, I'm sitting there watching him, and he was so young. They should have beat Ohio State, but he had some turnovers in that football game, and it prevented them from being able to play for a national championship that year. But I really think that we saw how bad without him they really were. And I kept telling people, he goes to the right situation, he's going to be damn good. He recovered from the injuries. I don't know. To me, it was really hard because this year, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Penix Jr., Jane Daniels, they were all deserving of the Heisman Trophy, which, by the way, I'm tired of that being nothing but a quarterback competition. But it is what it is. I think, though, that for my money, if I had to pick somebody to start my franchise with, it is Jane Daniels. But you're right. You and I have talked about this before. I think the best situation, you are right, happened with Atlanta. Because if Kirk Cousins plays great, perfect. That actually is perfect for you because you got 2 or 3 years to let Penix. Because, look, obviously Brett Favre, he didn't start right away in the NFL. He wasn't that good, right? But then he goes to Green Bay. Look what happens. Right, and Aaron Rodgers, of course, he had to wait behind Brett Favre. We saw the result of that. Jordan Love, he had to wait behind Brett Favre. He got off to a shaky season to start this year, but they finished really strong. Right, so the idea of win now, I think, to me, is more of a hindrance to your football team than it is a help. And I understand that the fans get frustrated and they don't want to wait around, but I think patience is still a virtue. And the issue is when you're relying on a 21-year-old, come on, man, do you remember being 21, bro? I know I do. I was scared to death of the life I had in front of me. And the minute went sour, man, I'm drinking, I'm partying, I'm in the club, I'm blowing off steam. Johnny Manziel talked about how he really wasn't ready, and mature enough to be in the spot that these people want him in. Do you think maybe the NFL should raise the age that you have to be to play in the NFL?
it's like you can't go out of high school to the NFL.
No, hell no.
I really do think that it's, especially at the quarterback position, you need a mature, seasoned young man. I've watched my son as a freshman, Division I football player. I've watched him grow. It's almost like my beard. In 1 year, I went from a couple grades to half gray. A lot can happen in a year. A lot can happen in 4 years. And let's not forget, the best thing about Patrick Mahomes, it's not his arms, it's not the baseball, it's not his dad, it's not Cliff Kingsbury, it's his photographic memory that he can remember these plays, that he can pick apart the defense. Like the film study for him means way more than someone that doesn't have a photographic memory. So we need to be drafting not just on physical gifts. We've seen the flops happen too often. All I needed to see about Justin Fields is him crying to his dad on the sideline saying he doesn't know what to do, and he's the best quarterback in high school. So 4 years, 3 years. We saw there was a kid drafted that only started 8 games. The lineman,
Right.
he only started 8 games. I mean, I get it, 6'8", 320, but they don't realize it's the mental game, the maturity, the adversity. Those are the guys that are going to last. Like a Penix Jr., like a McCarthy, like a Bo Nix. They've been through so much that they're like, bring on the next hard thing. Like Caleb Williams, I just don't see them shining right away. It's almost like we're going to see the Bears struggle for 2 years. And then maybe, right? So he's a freshman again. What year does Caleb Williams shine? Is it his sophomore year? His junior year? I just don't see it happening right away. I like the mental maturity, the adversity, and then now with the transfer portal, we don't see guys sticking it out, dealing with the adversity, and then rising like a phoenix. I just don't. The world has changed, so we'll see. And again, Penix Jr., McCarthy, Bo Nix, I think those are the 3 quarterbacks we'll see do the best eventually.
Well, for my money, and again, here's the deal. I know that a lot of people still have their thing for the transfer portal. I've talked about that umpteen times, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. My position is this, and I agree with what you're saying about going through adversity and going through things and give me the next challenge. I'm with that 110%. I think for me, the good thing about the NIL deals in the transfer portal now, though, is we're seeing older quarterbacks come into the NFL. We're not necessarily seeing the guy just, okay, junior season, I'm going to come in. They get more playing time under their belt through the NIL deals because they're making money while they're in college. And if you're making a lot of money while you're in college, then why go to the NFL when you can finish your education the way everybody claims it's about, when you could take your time to develop better? Maybe you could go somewhere, find a better situation through the transfer portal and develop into the player in person that you wanted to be to begin with. Let's not forget that coaches are just as selfish and have been just as selfish for years and years and years with these kids. And, the power that they've had over them. Nick Saban has had the luxury of I'm going to recruit multiple 5-star kids, and I'm just going to sit them on the bench, and I'm just going to have year after year after year after year of, that's all right, I got the next guy coming up. He doesn't have that anymore. That was a big part of why he ducked out. He could say whatever he wants to, but, I think that having that option is good because, let's be honest, if Michael Penix Jr. doesn't get to go to Washington, do we ever find out who he really is as a quarterback if he sticks around in Indiana, where they're telling him, we don't know if you're going to be playing here anymore because you keep getting hurt?
Absolutely.
So I think the pendulum swings both ways, and the advantage that they have now. I mean, come on, man. Look at Malik Murphy, right? Because you had Quentin Ewers. He announces he's going to go to the NFL in Texas, right? And then he says, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." He sticks around. You've got Arch Manning there, and Malik Murphy says, "Look, I'm not going to get what I want from Texas. I'm going to go somewhere else." Now, me personally, from what little I've seen of Malik Murphy, he's a turnover nightmare and a very, very poor decision maker. But he could potentially go somewhere else where he becomes the focus, because if you got Quinn Ewers and you got Arch Manning, I mean, it doesn't matter who the hell you are. You're just literally the guy there minding the fence in case somebody gets hurt and maybe you get called up. He wants to go somewhere where he feels like he can make a difference, and I personally just don't have an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Agreed. And there's so many factors that go into, because all of their goals is to make it to the NFL, to get paid.
Right.
Nowadays, they can get paid
while they're in college.
They can get paid. Exactly. And the Arch Manning, we saw him light it up in the spring game. And Quinn Ewers, man, don't get me started. I think that probably is the next Mahomes.
Really?
I really do. Like the way he can throw the ball, the arm angle is just. I think we'll see something special out of him. But yes, they want to develop into an NFL talent. And then the system, program, like you talked about, or and making a difference right away. Like these are things that really don't factor into the long game. The instant gratification is what we see now, and I think sitting your behind down and developing is the best way to go. But that win now. And when is the last quarterback we saw come into the league as a rookie and succeed?
Ben Roethlisberger, really. I mean, Tom Brady and then Ben Roethlisberger. But I mean, outside of that, and here's the thing, right? Cam Newton, he's claiming, well, my success has made it harder for. First of all, let's pump your brakes. Okay, his rookie season was good, but I mean, come on, Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady, they let's remember what happened there. All right, so as much as I love Cam, I think he needs to chill the hell out with that. But you're right, though. It happened a couple of times, and so now people think it's easy. And my favorite quote of all time is from Bob Stoops, and he said, "The thing about winning is people think it's easy, and it's not." End quote. So if we could all be winners, we all would be. But somebody's got to lose, man. And I think that's kind of the thing. People hear people like me talking, and they go, "Well, how come you just don't like so and so?" And look, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a hater. I'm quite the fucking antithesis, as a matter of fact, damn it. But I think that they're, but it comes to a place, man, where you have to be honest, and not everybody can win football games. Look, if I'm wrong about Caleb Williams, then I'm wrong about Caleb Williams. But I do want to know, because you just keep saying Bo Nix, Bo Nix. I'm not thrilled about Bo Nix. As a football fan, as a journalist, and as a Broncos fan, do you really think he could turn that football team around? Because I know how you feel about Russ, and that's fine. And I don't think he's got as much pressure as you think he does, because to Broncos fans, I think anybody but Russ is an upshot, right? So why do you think he's good for Denver?
Well, you remember how sold they were on Drew Lock.
Right.
They're kind of naive over there in Colorado. Maybe it's all it's not smog in the air, it's that pot smoke. doing
a little bit of peyote.
But, I just, again, it's the adversity. It's, Tom Brady really showed what it takes to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. It's not extending the play after the play breaks down. It's getting the ball out quickly, taking what the defense gives you, doing what your coach asks you to do. And I think Bo Nix is a guy like that. He is. And I think he might surprise a lot of people, And if we can get Michael Penix Jr. to take what the defense gives him and then take the top off the defense, he can run. He's a lefty. I don't know. I keep getting sidetracked by the Penix Jr. and it's another black left-handed quarterback in Atlanta.
Do you think?
I guess my point.
Do you think if Mike Vick minus the jail thing, because I don't give a damn, that was so long ago. I wish people would stop bringing it up. The man did his time. Let it go already. If it wasn't for the injuries, especially when he was at Philly, do you think he would have been one of the all-time greats?
I really do. I think his legs are such a huge part of his game that any type of severe lower body injury to a guy that relies on his legs so much. Yeah. But I really think he would have been – I think he would have got himself the Super Bowl. I really do. I'm sorry to see his career go the way that it went. But, he was the first dual threat, a true dual threat quarterback. That southpaw arm slot that he had.
Oh, hold on, my man. Hold on, my man. Randall Cunningham, John Elway, Steve Young, Donovan McNabb. Hell, I'm even willing to throw Fran Tarkenton in there, even though he just ran backwards. Okay, let's pump our brakes a little bit on the first. All right, let's chill out.
There's only one lefty in there. There's only one southpaw in there.
Right, that's Steve Young. Right. Is that what you're saying? He's like, I mean, come on, look, bro. You know I got nothing but love for you, man. But I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing, and the NFL is fickle because they always say that left-handers, the spiral of the ball and trying to get the receivers used to it and all that type of stuff is. I think that to me, I think that's the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. I think
it's a real thing.
How? Come on, look, you could. Okay, if you can drive, and it doesn't matter what side of the road you're on.
I like to think of it as like in fighting terms. When the stance is open, orthodox versus southpaw, the defense changes. That's the biggest problem when you have an orthodox versus southpaw, the defense. And we've got these southpaws, they've been fighting orthodox guys their whole career. And then orthodox guys have been fighting orthodox guys And then every once in a while you get a southpaw and it throws the whole flight plan off. And yeah, we've got a plan to step outside the lead foot, but the ball spinning, just the look of the quarterback left-handed back there. You have to game plan for that. And the wide receivers, they'll pick up easily on how the ball flies, but it's the defense. You know, I count how many left-handed quarterbacks are in the league right now. We've only got one, and when Penix Jr. When he plays, we'll have two. So I think it's a different look. And think about it in golf terms. You know, are you fading the ball or are you drawing the ball? You know, it's an opposite game. It's a mirrored look, and it will take some time getting used to.
Well, I personally don't think lefty or righty makes a difference. I just, maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I'm ignorant. But I think if you're a wide receiver and you can catch, you can catch. And I think if you're a quarterback and you could throw, you could throw. And it didn't seem to make a difference when he was at Washington. Didn't seem to really make a difference when he was in Indiana. I think that the whole damn thing is a myth perpetuated by the righty who happens to be a jackass and doesn't know what he's talking about. And again, this is where I think when I'm being serious, this is areas where I think the NFL is being too smart. Well, here's the thing about the left hand and how it changes the trajectory of the ball now. And stop being a nerd. This is not a game for nerds, okay? I don't give a damn what anybody says. It's not. This is a game for grown-ass men who can either play or they can't. Stop bringing nerds in, bro. I don't give a damn what your Amazon point checklist is telling you. It's never helped anybody. Go ask McDaniels in Miami. All the statistical crap has never helped them win a playoff game. Because it doesn't. You look at what they did a few years ago when the Raptors benched their best player against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs because the statistics said that they should. The statistics say that you should be going for in the NFL more often than not to win football games. Yet in 1 week alone, right, 1 week alone, I was looking at it, and teams in college that played in the top 25 against each other, they were 3 out of 16 going for it on fourth down, and none of them won that week. And they went for it more, losing. The teams that went for it less were like 1 and 2 or something like that, but they won. So who cares? When you're playing good football, it was Howard Schnellenberger who said, when you're playing good football, you don't need trickery and you don't need fourth downs.
100%.
Okay? And that same week in the NFL, teams were losing that were going for it on fourth down. So why in the hell are the analytics and nerds taking over the realistic part of the game? Stay out of it, bro. Go figure out how to make French fries better or something.
I always love it when I see, and we saw this in the Super Bowl, where they pull out the trick play early.
Yeah.
You know, it's letting the defense or letting the other team know.
Can't beat them straight
we're
up.
Out of options.
Yeah.
we got to trick you early, and you saw how patient the Chiefs were. I mean, really patient. Like they almost as if they were like, we're gonna play pretty crappy, and then we're gonna turn it on. Whereas we saw what happened. You know, the throwback for a touchdown. I thought when that happened, when the 49ers, when they threw that throwback for a touchdown, I got excited. I was like, yes, of course, yes, they scored, but they had to pull out the deep in the bag of tricks to do that, and I was right. You know, so you think about the running game. If we get 3 yards every time, can we win a football game? we'll win every football game. Hand the ball off 3 yards. Hand the ball off 3 yards. 4th and 1. Let's go for it. First down. So, and I think you're an old school football guy. You know.
I am. And, I hate 4th and 1 and let's run a trick play out of it and have all this BS motion on 4th and inches. Bro, quarterback sneak the damn football, impose your real quick, let the guy reach over the top and get the damn first down. This isn't quantum physics.
Right. We see the Eagles doing it.
Right.
Right. And I even told my fighters yesterday, like, at some point, you just have to be a guy that's willing to walk through the range and impose your will. We can't just be on the outside being all cute. You know, we gotta just be a dog at times. And now, like you talked about the analytics, it's just we're playing too much chess.
We are. Look, man, look at this. Look at it. I want to make, because I went back to go look at the report that I did. And back on October 22 of 2023, Penn State, Tennessee, North Carolina, Duke, and Arizona State all lost their games. And we're talking 20-34. One of them was close, 27-31. Overall, those 5 teams were a combined 3-16 on 4th down. Okay, then you go to the NFL. Buffalo, Washington, Detroit, New Orleans, and Arizona were a combined 10 out of 21 on 4th down, and they all lost. Nobody won. Everybody lost. Nobody won that weekend. So I don't know where I'm watching Amazon Prime, the primetime football and all that stuff. And I mean, you've got a guy coming in, and he's like, well, here's the thing. He's only throwing the football this much and blah, blah, blah. They're talking about Joe Flacco and the Browns, and they're up. They're beating the hell out of this team. And they're like, he's only throwing it for this amount of yards. He's actually not helping his team score. He needs to push down the field. I'm like, what does the scoreboard say? Who's winning? And you're going to tell me he's not winning when he's thrown for over 200 yards in the first half? He's not helping his team win because he's not throwing it more than 30 yards? What? What are we smoking?
We're trying to get lucky. We're now, instead of just dominating and winning and ball control, now we're trying to bank on getting lucky.
Pretty much. The analytics says if I do this, look, anything that you do is a 50-50 shot. And any coach worth their salt will tell you that, sure, it's a setup play, but even then, they'll tell you that it's designed to score. Every play is designed to do something great. And it's a 50-50 shot on whether or not it's going to work. So the analytics trying to pump up the numbers and say, well, if you go for it on 4th down, your chance of winning goes up. Really? From your own 40-yard line? Your own 30-yard line going for it on 4th down, your chance of winning somehow increases 75%. And then they said if you don't get it, it only goes up 25%. Bro, punt the football. Put the other team in bad field position, get the ball back on the 50, and then run it down their throats.
Let's believe in all aspects of the game. Defense wins championships.
Right. Man, and I get so tired of running the football's not entertaining. You want to know what's entertaining? Winning football games. I don't know about you, man, but when I'm winning, I feel a whole hell of a lot better. Okay. And I don't care how I win as long as I'm winning, my man. You know?
We see this in MMA, and when we have 2 guys that agree to stand up and strike and just kickbox. But the best fighter of all time is a well-rounded, wrestling-focused fighter. You wrestling equates to running the football.
Exactly.
Wrestling equates to chipping, just chipping away down the field.
Why does Kirk Cousins have a damn near $200 million contract in the NFL with one playoff win, but Derrick Henry, the guy who's been carrying that football team, only got $16 million. That can't make sense to anybody.
It doesn't make sense. And again, it's like this Hollywood. I watched Kirk Cousins, the quarterback series. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah, of course I did. Yeah, he's a real nice guy.
Yeah.
I feel like a jerk, but he's a really nice because he's a nice guy. But he's got one playoff win.
and even watching him, I just get the feeling that he's never, ever going to win a Super Bowl.
No. Well, unless
I like Brock Purdy over him right now.
Are you? Oh, see, now you're really just trying to get what you're doing. Like, okay, this dude is like starting to feel it, and if I poke that bear just right, we're really gonna have a show because you already know, my man. Come on, Brock Purdy, will you stop the cap with that already? Come on.
Hey.
I could be the quarterback of that football team, and I'm 5'8" with a beer gut and a bad back. Are you kidding me? And I'm 40. If my job is to throw it 3 yards to Christian McCaffrey and hand the football off to him and watch him get 200 yards a game in total yards, I think my job's pretty easy, bro. I'm just – and look, that might be going too far, but look, here's the thing that I always ask people. If Patrick Mahomes is on that football team, do you think they even lose a game? I mean, be realistic. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields probably could be the quarterback of that football team. I just – and let's not forget that win streak started when Mac showed up and Jimmy G was still the quarterback of that football team before he got hurt and they brought in Brock Purdy. So, I think that people forget that aspect. They don't really understand how that really went down. And it's frustrating because I get tired of having to explain it over and over again. But I think, though, that the Brock Purdy situation, I mean, and what do they always say? Well, how come they lost in the Super Bowl to Philly? Well, I don't know if anybody knows it or not, or the NFC Championship game, but Philly was pretty good that year. I mean, oh gosh! Literally, it took the best quarterback in the NFL and a total team effort to beat them. Because let's not forget, Philly was dominating that Super Bowl at one point. It was a hell of a defensive play that completely changed the football game. If that play doesn't happen, Philly probably wins that game running away.
It was really one of the biggest flops that I've ever seen. I mean, you remember the first 3 quarters of the season? They were the front runners,
right?
They were going to run away with it. And was it this scheming? I just don't know. I just don't know. Like what happened to them?
Well, it's really weird. And one of the things that I've always said about the Kansas City Chiefs over the last 4 or 5 years is that if you really watch them, they really only play about one really good quarter of football a game. The other 3 quarters, it's like, but and that's all they need, though, is that one really good quarter. And the best example that I was lay out is a regular season game a couple of years ago against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it started off horrendous. I mean, go watch the playoffs, man. Remember the game against Houston when they got, they were getting their asses handed to them. But then they had that one really good second quarter.
Just hanging around, scheming.
Man.
Andy Reid.
Man, I'm telling you, bro. I don't know. Regardless, the NFL draft was somewhat actually entertaining this year as opposed to other years where it's been pretty boring. So I'm glad we had a pretty good draft. Wild, man. 6 quarterbacks taken, 12. I still can't wrap my head around all the offense. And the thing is very few offensive linemen. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, have you guys not seen defensive line play in the NFL right now? So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think the Chargers and the Titans did the best in that regard. They've already got their guys. Again, I think Chicago needed to build and then try and find somebody late, but it is what it is. Austin, Thank you so much for your willingness to talk football with me today in NFL draft. I really do appreciate it. Normally, obviously, this is MMA time for you. I know you get excited to talk about MMA, but man, I really appreciate you leaning back today and letting me have a football day with you, Brody.
I got to mix in some fight comparisons.
Analogy, so, right? Yeah.
I'm satisfied. And I watched that whole draft for you.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Just before anything can happen, you got to buy me dinner first, just so you know, bro.
I got you, and you don't seem like a cheap date. So
no, hell no, man. Gosh damn it, I'm okay with Cheesecake Factory, for the record. All right. I know you seen that video, bro. I know you see that video. Yeah. I'm good with Cheesecake Factory, amigo. No, for real though, Austin, I really do appreciate it, my man. Every Friday is a real treat with you, so thank you so much.
My pleasure, man.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. He is Austin Ford, our MMA guru, but today he was willing to step aside and talk NFL draft and football. My man, well-rounded in sports. Guys, I am Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live. I am brought to you in part by WBFR Block 50 Radio, which is online 24/7, 365 at block50radio.com. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Take a device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan on iTunes, iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, wherever you're listening. I am there. Your local programming is next. Stay safe this weekend. Take care of yourselves. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.